You guys like these festive lights? We're still in the winter season, so anyways, Happy New Year to all of my subscribers, my viewers, and my co-host. He's not going to be in today. He's working, and I got the day off. So I'm going to do a video. I'm going to attempt to debunk a cringe Protestant video. Um, the Ministry of the Lamb, that's the name of the channel, the Ministry of the Lamb. Um, she posted a video. It's not her video, it's a video from the 1990s. I've seen this before a couple years ago. Not a couple years ago, maybe more than that, but it's 2024 now. And so, like in 2009, 2010 is when I watched the video. And it's about Christmas being pagan, blah, 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 blah. And for a while, it brainwashed me to believe that. So I was brainwashed for about 2, 3 years. And you're just celebrating the birth of Jesus. Just ignore all the pagan stuff. And of course, when I became Orthodox, Christmas became more important to me as a holy day. And so I'm old calendar Orthodox. I'm not a new calendar Orthodox. And so we old calendar Orthodox, we celebrate January 7th. And I'm going to explain why this video that the Ministry of the Lamb has posted is cringe. I'm going to explain to you guys why it's cringe. Well, I'm not just going to explain why it's cringe. I'm just going to attempt to debunk it. And hopefully I'll do a good job without my co-host being around.
Day of Days. It is a time of magic, pageantry, warmth, generosity, and love. For many of us, our fondest childhood memories revolve around the traditions of Christmas. It is a time that many around the world celebrate as the birth of Jesus Christ, the Savior and Messiah of mankind. In recent years, however, the spiritual holiday has become a time of mass marketing and crass commercialism. Incredibly, many businesses derive more than half their yearly income during this period. The process of gift-giving, once thought to have come from the story of the wise men who offered gifts to the newborn Christ, has evolved into the buying frenzy we see today during the month of December. But what about the other Christmas traditions? Have you ever wondered why we decorate the Christmas tree? Why we light the Yule log? Why we hang the mistletoe? And why we teach our children to believe in Santa Claus?
In the next hour, you will discover the true origins of Christmas. You may be surprised or even shocked to learn the source of your favorite holiday traditions. Chances are, you'll never look at Christmas the same ever again.
In the Northern Hemisphere during late December, the days are at their shortest lengths and the nights are at their longest. For those of the pagan world, this has always been the greatest time of the year to celebrate and practice the works of darkness. The pagan calendar identifies this period as the winter solstice. It was during the pre-Christian midwinter pagan celebrations of Scandinavia's Norsemen where today's Christmas traditions began. As a means of honoring the pagan sex and fertility god Yule, a 12-day celebration during the month of December was inaugurated. A large single log considered to be a phallic idol was lit on fire and kept burning for 12 days. Animal or human sacrifices were offered in the fire on each of those days. Wild, delirious reveling accompanied the daily sacrifices as drunken participants defiantly strove to make contact with spirits.
Zero connection with Christmas.
Traditions hold that a number of pagan gods were given birth during this period, including Dionysus, Attis, and Baal, chief male god of fertility and licentiousness. Another pagan god from Persia, identified as Mithra, was said to have been born specifically on December 25th. Mithra was the god of the unconquerable sun, the god of the light.
Yeah, it fails to mention how the religion of Mithra was actually trying to imitate and plagiarize Christianity. Fails to mention that, but I know where this is going. I know where this is going. This is basically going to just kind of imply that the Roman Catholics stole all these pagan traditions, combined them into one, and call it Christ's Mass. It's the typical Protestant narrative, and I used to believe this jibber jabber, this gobbledygook, this nonsense. Yeah, is jibber jabber even a word? I don't know. I just made that up, I think. Yeah, it's all weird. It's like it's nonsense. It's not historically accurate to even make these claims. Now, what's historically accurate is that people who followed Mithra, they were actually plagiarizing from Christianity. The story of God rising from the dead on the third day. Those people, they were trying to imitate that. They were trying to plagiarize from the Christians, not the other way around.
Light between heaven and earth, worshipped at that time by an influential Roman cult. His birth symbolized an end to the long nights and a return to the dominance of the sun. During the month-long winter solstice celebration, courts in Rome were closed. Any and all crimes were allowed. Homosexuality, cross-dressing, and uncontrolled debauchery reigned supreme. Rome's order was turned upside down. Even children were allowed to join in the drunken orgies as part of the Juvenalia celebration. By 270 AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian had made it official, setting aside a 7-day period from December the 17th through the 24th, culminating.
Yeah, and guess who stopped all this? Oh, Christian Roman emperors stopped all this debauchery, all this nonsense. But they're not going to mention that part.
In an exchange of gifts on December the 25th to celebrate the birth of the sun god. This Roman orgy to end all orgies later became known as Saturnalia, in honor of the god Saturn, the god of excess. Roman soldiers invading Britain brought with them their pagan orgiastic traditions. Upon taking root in England, Saturnalia became known as the Festival of Fools, reigned over by the Lord of Misrule. By the 4th century, the influential government-sanctioned Church of Rome, unable to outlaw the growing number of pagan practices, chose instead to adopt them into their so-called official Christianity. The Church believed this would
Not based on any historical facts, by the way.
attract more pagans to their fold.
Nope. Nope. Never happened. No historical evidence for this happening like that.
Up until this time, the birthday of Jesus Christ, the Jewish Messiah, had not been celebrated at all.
How do you know that?
Which occurred during the winter, the Church nevertheless confused biblical history and made Jesus' birthday coincide with the pagan god Mithra. The birth date of the sun god had now become the birth date of the Son of God.
It was hoped that the
Okay, so basically she's doing some conflation here, kind of like the way anti-Christians would say, oh, look, son God, son of God, right? Sunson, pronounced the same, basically. Oh, you see, therefore it's the same thing. It's all pagan. Christianity plagiarized from paganism. It's the same argument anti-Christians would use to claim that Christianity as a whole came from paganism. Now, Carol Matriciana and people who are just like her, they basically conflate this as well, and they kind of use the same argument, but they kind of try to just separate it from their version of Christianity and say, "Oh no, our version of Christianity never celebrates this stuff, and Christianity was always like us, like our little small sect." But it was these Roman pagans, these Roman Catholics, like they distorted Christianity, and they adopted all these pagan practices. And so, well, the thing is, people, they see through the historical inaccuracies of such claims, and so they're like, wait a minute, so either Christianity stole these practices or paganism stole these practices from Christianity. Also, there's another view where it's okay to adopt certain folk practices and Christianize them, get rid of the paganism and replace it with Christian symbolism. But for the Protestant mind, oh, but that's idol worship, that's paganism. No, you're getting rid of the paganism, you're replacing it with Christian tradition. There's nothing pagan about that. Zero paganism.
Pagan celebrations of Saturnalia would merge into this new legally sanctioned form of Christianity. The Church's practice of changing the dates of Christian events to coincide
Where and when did this happen?
with pagan festivals continued, and by the 7th century, Pope Gregory I had ordered Augustine of Canterbury to incorporate any and all pagan practices and customs into the expanding Roman Catholic Church.
Okay. Yes, I would sure love to see this document where they say accept all pagan practices into the Catholic Church. Like we just no, like I'm pretty sure if there was some sort of acceptance, it's more of a Christianization of certain folk practices. For example, like I'm not Roman Catholic, I'm an Orthodox Christian, and I was baptized into the Serbian Orthodox Church. And the way the Serbians, the way they have patron saints, it's usually more of a familial thing. They have a Slava. Now, I have a personal patron saint. I asked my priest to like not to kind of do the more personal thing. So I got baptized as Alexander, right? But usually, most of the time in the Serbian tradition, you choose a patron saint for your family. And um, prior to the Serbian branch of the Slavic people, prior to them converting to Christianity, they would have these patron gods for their families, like these gods would be protecting the families. And so the missionaries, the priests, once the people were converted, they said, okay, get rid of these gods. These are not your patron saints. These are idols. These are demons. These are evil symbols. Get rid of them now. Here's a saint for you. Okay, saints are now going to be the patrons of your family, not these evil demons, not these devils, no, not these evil spirits. Saints. The saints, people who are blessed by the church, they will now be your patrons. So yes, you could say there was a replacement, but it's a replacement of evil with good, Christianity triumphing over paganism. So yeah, um, yeah, but in the mind of Carol Matriciana, oh, they're accepting these pagan practices. They're no longer pagan. They stopped being pagan. Once they're Christianized, they stopped being pagan.
During the Middle Ages, the debased Mardi Gras atmosphere of what was now known as Christ's Mass had reached a fevered pitch. Common practices included open sex in the streets, rioting, murder, and a number of pagan druidic Halloween rituals. This blood-drenched celebration got so out of hand that by 1652, following the execution of King Charles I, Christ's Mass was finally outlawed in
Hey, King Charles I, he was a Protestant. He was not Roman Catholic, but don't mention that, right? Don't mention the fact that King Charles I was not a papist. He was not a papist. He was not Roman Catholic. But Carol Matriciana is not going to mention that in her video.
in England. A religious reform movement began sweeping the country, led by Puritan Oliver Cromwell. The Puritans took the biblical mandate seriously, which commanded that Christianity remain pure and separate from paganism. Despite their noble efforts, the celebration simply went underground, and by 1656...
So, what is the connection here with with ancient Rome and England of the of the 1600s? Like, what is the connection here? And like Charles Charles I was a Protestant king, right? And the Puritans, okay. So she's saying, oh, the Puritans, they're trying to keep Christianity pure. Okay, well, if you think r running a country the way Stalin would run a country, if you think that's, keeping Christianity pure, I don't know what to tell you. Like Oliver Cromwell was a bloodthirsty maniac.
The appointment of Charles II to the throne restored England's monarchy, and with it the celebration of Christ's Mass.
Oh yeah, and like she acts as if the execution of Charles I is like something normal. Like she like she doesn't even like mention the horrible, horrendous execution of Charles I. She's talking about, oh, Charles I, like he's executed, Christmas is gone. Ooh, the good Puritans take over, and then unfortunately, his son, the new king, returns, and Return of the King. Like I'm assuming she probably is not a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien's Return of the King. I mean, the King returns, right? They had a good republic under Sauron, then the king returned and defeated Sauron. Yeah, so the king returns and brings back Christmas. But guess what? The king is still a Protestant. Just letting you know, the king is still anti-pope.
The Puritans had lost England, but they held high hopes for the New World.
When the first settlers
The Puritans lost England. I'm pretty sure there's still a bunch of Puritans that stayed back in England.
came from England, they were, for the most part, Puritans. They came here for religious freedom. They came here to be free to worship God without a hierarchy and without the corruption of the organized church.
They were still subjects of the king and still loyal to the king, by the way, but fails to mention that part.
They had known before. And when they came with the clear knowledge of the danger of these pagan practices that had become so dear to the hearts of
Pagan. Well, they're not really pagan. They actually don't know what's going on. So, like these practices, they have nothing to do with Christmas, by the way. All these practices that they are mentioning, that's all just localized English degeneracy. That's all it is. Has nothing to do with Christmas, with the celebration of Christ's birth, the way the church celebrates it. Nothing to do with this dogmatically or theologically, canonically, nothing. Has zero connection to Christmas. All this is simply a lot of, post post Martin Luther degeneracy, by the way. If you notice how like there's like this skip where she claims that the Roman Catholics incorporated all these pagan holidays, and she's talking about the Roman Catholic emperors, right? And then all of a sudden there's like this time jump from the ancient Roman Empire straight to England and the Puritans fighting off the so-called Roman Catholics. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, these so-called Roman Catholics are Protestants. They're not Puritans, but they're Protestants. Yet, like they're celebrating these pagan rituals. Okay, but what does this have to do with Christmas, with the true origins of Christmas? And there's like this time jump, like doesn't mention like the situations, the history of France, the history of Germany, Spain, Russia, Poland, Finland, nothing. Just like a total, like a big time jump from the Roman Empire becoming Christianized and accepting pagan rituals to just England in the 16th century executing the evil King Charles for allowing Christmas. So yeah, like basically like what does this have to do with Christmas though? This has nothing to do with Christmas. This is basically um you could say post Martin Luther Western degeneracy has nothing to do with the celebration of Christmas.
their ancestors.
Following England's lead in 1659, the colonies of America had likewise outlawed Christmas. For 200 years, the clergy in New England battled to keep the riotous celebrations honoring the pagan god Saturn from infiltrating the New World. The Reverend Cotton...
Like, where is this connection to Saturn? Like, where? Like, she just makes the claim, okay, back this up. There is zero connection to Saturn. There was never any connection to Saturn. Now, here's the thing. I'm an Orthodox Christian. I'm an old calendar Orthodox Christian. We celebrate Christmas on January 7th, not December 25th. And even if there is a connection, Saturn was being praised on the somewhere in December, December 20th, December 25th, December 26th, doesn't matter. What is wrong with Jesus Christ being born on the same days? Like, what is wrong with that? What is the connection here? Okay, like you could have the same birthday with, Adolf, something German mustache guy. Okay, like, are you somehow connected to that person? No, you're not. Okay, like the only connection you have is the same birthday. So, like, I don't understand this whole idea. Oh, they stopped the celebration of Saturn, this pagan sun god. There's zero connection to this. She doesn't provide any evidence for this.
Mather had warned in a Christmas Day sermon in 1712, "Can you in your conscience think that your holy Saviour is honoured by hard drinking, lewd revelling, and by a mass fit for none but Bacchus or Saturn?"
Oh, first of all, nothing to do with Christmas. Like, nothing to do with Christmas. And also not historically accurate. So again, nothing to do with Christmas and nothing to do with history. This is all speculation. Bacchus and Saturn. Okay, well, those are your opinions, okay? And now it is shameful that Western Christians, Western Protestants started to act so degenerate on a certain holy day. Interesting. Like maybe it's not Christmas, maybe it's something to do with Protestantism.
But the public's taste for sin and revelry persisted. In 1828, gang rioting during the Saturnalia-like Christmas celebrations got so bad that cities such as New York were forced to institute a professional police force for the first time in order to control the savagery.
Christmas was not only not widely celebrated, in many cases, many places, Christmas celebrations were actually outlawed. And this was because of the attitude of many of the churches who regarded it as primarily as a pagan celebration and as a reproach to the Lord.
By the mid-19th century, American churches were the last remaining holdout in the war against the validation of Christmas. However, they too finally succumbed as a result of the efforts of the American Sunday school.
Okay, so when these churches succumbed to this pagan holiday, did they get drunk? Did they start, acting weird in the streets? Did they start rioting in the streets? She doesn't answer that question.
Society, who began advocating Christmas programs for children as a method of filling the pews. The society argued that children could be taught about the birth of Christ through the reenactment of the Nativity. They also offered candy and treats to the children as a means of enticing families into accepting the holiday, despite its notorious history and blatantly pagan.
Hey guys, just hanging out with your family. It's notorious, guys. Hanging out, having a good time with your family, sharing food together, giving your kids some candy because it's a good day today. You're in a good mood. Here, kids, have some candy. That's so notorious. What an evil holiday. Oh, it's ridiculous Protestant nonsense.
Pagan roots. The successful technique of
Oh, pagan roots. Okay, you know what? Everything has pagan roots, to be honest. Like the Mazda cars, right? Like they have that symbol, the owl, and like it goes back to Zoroastrianism and some sort of a god named Mazda, like God, the god of wisdom. And I believe like one of the CEOs was something has something to do with that region. So he decided to like name the car Mazda. And like I don't see Carol making a documentary about the evils of the Mazda car. you know, like the Mazda brand. Don't drive a Mazda, guys. Like it's the devil. Yeah, like if you're going to be like that, you know, you might as well just stop using technology. Like don't use the internet. You know, why are you even using the internet? You know, it's a portal to demons. And it can be, or it could be a portal for good. Everything has like pagan roots somewhere. Our names, you know, our ancestors were pagans at one point. Did you know that? Did you know that our pa ancestors were pagans at a certain point? And yet we still have to study their history. We still have to study the origins of our ancestors. Is that a pagan tradition now too? Like, am I supposed to just throw away the pre-Christian origins of my ancestors because they have pagan roots? Come on.
This tradition of the Christmas Yule log stems directly from the worship of the pre-Christian Scandinavian fertility god Yule. The burning of this phallic idol is also responsible for the concept of the 12 days of Christmas, which represented the 12 daily sacrifices offered up in the Yule log's flames.
Another good example of the pagan elements of Christmas is the whole concept of Yule and the Yule log. The very term is derived from the Norse god Yule, spelled J-U-L. And every year around Christmas time, a huge log was cut down and fashioned into a fertility symbol and then burned for 12 days. And on each successive day.
So I will not get into the details of the Scandinavian version of the burning of the Yule log, but I was baptized into the Serbian Orthodox Church. And so they also burn the Yule log. I mean, like they call it the Badnjak, but in America they kind of translate it as the Yule log ceremony. And it has nothing to do with whatever they're saying, okay? So like there was some pagan, so the Slavs, you know, they worshipped their own gods in their own way. And in the pre-Christian era, it would commemorate, you know, the rising of the sun, right? During the winter solstice. And so when people were Christianized, they continued to burn the Yule log. And so priests today, so modern day priests, Serbian Orthodox priests, they would say when they burn the blessing of the Yule log, they'll say, "O Lord Jesus Christ, our God, who did plant the tree of life in paradise, so that it might bestow upon us eternal blessedness. Bless also now this tree, which is a symbol of the cross and the tree of life in paradise, which and which reminds us of thy holy birth and of the logs which the shepherds of Bethlehem kindled to warm themselves when they came to worship thee, the divine infant, and thereby prefigured thy salvation bearing cross." How's that pagan? Like, how's that pagan? How's that prayer pagan? Is that a pagan prayer? Like, is that a pagan prayer? Answer me, Protestant. Is that a pagan prayer? It, basically, this is how the Serbians celebrate the burning of the Yule log. Wow. Like in the prayer, it literally says right here, thy holy birth of the law, okay, which reminds us of thy holy birth and of the logs which the shepherds of Bethlehem kindled to warm themselves. A pagan tradition has become Christianized. Wow. No, we no longer worshiping the rising of the sun, winter solstice stuff, blah 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 blah, and you just replace it simply with Christian themes. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with you know having symbols to remind you of Jesus Christ? What is wrong with that? And what is wrong with you for claiming these are all pagan symbols? Not anymore. Not anymore. They're no longer pagan.
Saturnalia celebrations, holly and other greens were hung over doorways as part of a pagan ritual to ward off evil. To deck the halls with boughs of holly was to acknowledge the powers of the nature gods. According to Wiccan rituals, placing holly or other greens in the shape of a circle or wreath accentuated its...
Okay, first of all, Wiccans are like a brand new religion. Like literally, they're brand new. It was created by some I think it was some kind of baby boomer from America who decided to who wanted to get laid by a bunch of women. What was it, 1950s, 1960s, and that's it. Like it's literally a brand new religion. It has like nothing to do has nothing to do with ancient paganism at all. But the Wiccan people, yeah, Wiccans are brand new. They have nothing to do with ancient paganism. Zero. They're just neo-pagans. That's what they are. Okay. And just some crazy religion created by some horny dude. No pun intended. But like literally, like that's all it is. Has nothing to do with ancient paganism, ancient rituals, nothing. Don't even take this part seriously. Don't take this part seriously. Like her mentioning the Wiccans, like just laughable. Very bad research, poorly researched, nothing to do with ancient rituals, Saturnalia, nothing. Like, and especially Christmas, zero connections to Christmas, zero connections to any ancient Roman pagan holidays, zero connections to any Scandinavian pagan holidays, zero, zero, has nothing to do with anything. But she mentions Wicca as if it's some sort of I don't know, authoritative source. No, zero, zero.
Its magical power. Similarly, mistletoe, when used in the casting of Wiccan or Druidic spells, could render a woman helpless and open to sexual.
Zero connection to ancient paganism. Zero. It's Wicca. It's brand new. It's a 20th century religion. Has nothing to do with ancient paganism.
The tradition of the winter solstice Christmas tree primarily took root in Germany. During his reign, King George I, himself of German extraction, brought the custom to Victorian England. German immigrants settling in Pennsylvania did the same in America during the early 1800s. In 1848, the London Illustrated News published this famous engraving depicting Queen Victoria and her royal family beside a decorated Christmas tree.
Oh, by the way, so basically the story of the Christmas tree is it's a victory over paganism. The same paganism that Carol Matriciana is trying to she's trying to like debunk this whole Christmas story myth that's all paganism. It's not Christian, it's paganism, right? Well, no, the Christmas tree symbolizes Christianity's victory, triumph over paganism. So Saint Boniface, he's recognized in the Orthodox Church, he's recognized in the Roman Catholic Church. Saint Boniface, he was preaching to the pagans, and I think they were in Germany, I think. I could be wrong, but he was preaching to the pagans, and the pagans were literally worshiping a tree, I believe, like Doors Oak. And so St. Boniface, he says, well, yeah, you know what? Here's an axe. I'm just going to kill your God running right in front of you. You're going to chop down this tree. The pagans were like in shock and, oh, wait a minute. Our God got destroyed by the Christian God. What do they do? Oh, they convert. And on top of that, you then have decorations on that tree, not worshiping or commemorating the tree, but commemorating the victory of the Christian God over the pagan gods. And so that's why you have Christian, decorations on those Christmas trees. Then eventually, in Western Europe, in Protestant Western Europe, you have some more other, innovations added to it, and it's been more commercialized. But there's more to the story than like, oh, like the modern day Wiccans believe in some sort of nature gods and the trees and spirits. It goes beyond that. It's a symbol of Christian triumph over paganism.
Santa Claus is another good example of a pagan element of Christmas. Santa Claus, as we know him today, is an amalgamation of several different traditions, but in most cultures throughout the world, you will find the existence of what is known as hearth gods, gods who guard the hearth and the chimney and have you. And at a certain time of year, in the middle of winter, typically, the hearth god dressed in red will come down the chimney to reward those who have pleased him during the course of the previous year. And
This has nothing to do with Christmas. This has nothing to do with traditional church Christmas. The Orthodox Church does not have that. The Roman Catholic Church even did not have that. It has nothing to do with the true Christian celebration of Christmas.
Traditions of the Church of Rome, there was a Turkish bishop named Nicholas who hailed from Myra in Asia Minor during the 4th century. He was known as the patron saint of seafaring men. Over the centuries, as the legend began to unfold, it was rumored that St. Nicholas had actually captured the devil himself, put him in chains, and made him his personal servant. Recognized in various cultures as Krampus, Beelzebub, or Zwart Piet, Black Peter, this assistant of over the centuries, as the legend began.
What's interesting is that she says, oh, Roman Catholic traditions. What about the Orthodox? We Orthodox, we venerate him as a saint too. Don't leave us out. By the way, at that point in time in history, also she does not mention the contributions of Saint Nicholas. She doesn't mention the fact that like her theology, like at least some of her theology is because of Saint Nicholas standing up for the true faith, for punching Arius in the face during the Council of Nicaea. Doesn't mention that part. Just totally just skip over all that history. Skip over the Council of Nicaea. Just skip over that, right? Just forget about it. Just mention the fact that the real Bishop of Myra was then romanticized by Western Roman Catholics post-schism, right? Post-schism Roman Catholics then created a few more legends about him. Okay, right? But like and then she talks about like Krampus Beelzebub, by the way. So this gets interesting.
Began to unfold, it was rumored that St. Nicholas actually captured the devil himself, put him in chains, and made him his personal servant. Recognized in various cultures as Krampus, Beelzebub, or Zwart Piet, Black Peter, this assistant of St. Nicholas is best known by his German name, Knecht Ruprecht. Described as a hideous horned creature, the servant Ruprecht was a dark and sinister figure who stood in stark contrast to the saintly Nicholas. Somehow, Father Christmas's companion, the horned goat, had metamorphosized into the foreboding horned devil called Ruprecht. As St. Nicholas traveled from...
So, by the way, this whole Ruprecht story, the Krampus stuff, that is all German Protestant innovations, by the way. Anti-Roman Catholic people created this. But let's not talk about that part. Let's not talk about the fact that, you know, anti-Catholic people created these legends. And what's interesting is that the whole Ruprecht thing, the Krampus, that is all localized mostly to Germany and a little bit to Slovakia, Slovenia, a little bit to Romania, northern Italy, but has nothing to do with the histories of the Polish people, the Russian people, the Belarusian people, the Armenians, the Georgians, the Syrians, the Greeks. Has nothing to do with all these people. Like we don't even follow this weird Krampus stuff. This is all mostly for the most part localized in Protestant territory, Central Europe, Hungary. Hungary's like Catholic, Protestant, mixed, whatever, and some Catholic legends. But even then, dogmatically, theologically, nothing to do with the Roman Catholic Church, nothing to do with the Orthodox Church. This is mostly a regional, you know, innovation, mostly created by German Protestants, right? But don't mention this part. Just don't mention this part, right? Just focus on the fact that some people created a fake story about the real Saint Nicholas and ran with it, and you're just going to blame Christmas. You're going to blame the Christmas celebration based on you're going to blame the Christmas celebration for this fake story created by German Protestants. We venerate Saint Nicholas in the Orthodox Church, the Old Calendar Orthodox. We venerate him December 18th, 19th. We have the feast of Saint Nicholas, but it has nothing to do with Krampus and Ruprecht, all this nonsense, bizarre garbage. It's all Protestant innovations. Has nothing to do with Christian celebration, with Christian tradition. Zero connection to it. But Carol Matriciana, it's not convenient for her to mention the fact that these are all Protestant innovations. Like she just has to make a connection with the Roman Catholic Church and paganism and the papists, all that stuff. And I'm not even a papist. I'm anti-papist. And like you're forcing me to defend, the papists on this little issue right here.
Too. Later retitled The Night Before Christmas, Moore's poem was based on the tales of German and Dutch immigrants who had come to America. Intended originally only for his own children, Moore's story was published in the Troy Sentinel in New York and became an overnight sensation. Gone were the bishop's remnant of St. Nicholas. He was now a jolly old elf imbued with supernatural powers. Moore had also replaced Nicholas's companion, the horned-necked Ruprecht, with 8 horned magical reindeer. As the popularity of the night...
So again, these are all Western Protestant innovations, nothing to do with the original story of Christmas. Also, on top of that, if you noticed, she's mentioning how in America they got rid of Ruprecht slash Krampus, right? They replaced them with the reindeer. So you see, even for American Protestants, the whole Krampus story is just kind of way too creepy, way too scary, right? So yeah, like this whole Krampus situation, as I mentioned, is only localized within mostly Germany and Central Europe. Has nothing to do with the traditional celebration of Christmas. Like for a lot of us Orthodox Christians, January 7th is when we celebrate Christmas, and that's has nothing to do with the reindeer, has nothing to do with Krampus, nothing to do with some weird chimney hearth fire gods, nothing to do with any of this. We're literally celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, the nativity of Jesus Christ. And like if we do have a Christmas tree, it's a celebration of Christian victory over paganism. Nothing to do with being pagan, but destroying paganism.
Recently, we took our cameras to the Nevada desert, where we witnessed 35,000 pagans from around the country participating in a week-long celebration of sex, drugs, and hedonism. Here, everything was permissible and encouraged, except for the adoration of Jesus Christ. In nearly every ritual...
Hey guys, Burning Man has nothing to do with Christianity. So yeah, it's a weird, degenerate celebration, the Burning Man. But what does that have to do with Christianity? What does that have to do with Christmas? Nothing. What is she trying to say here? Is she trying to say that celebrating Christmas leads to Burning Man? Like, is this the connection you're trying to make? Burning Man and Christmas. Eventually, Christmas is like what is it? The pipeline to Burning Man. Christmas, guys. Hey guys, so remember, Christmas is the pipeline that leads to Burning Man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys will share this video, like it, subscribe to my channel. Also, go to the link where I sell the merch. Please support the channel. Please help the channel grow. And to those of you old calendar Orthodox who are going to celebrate Christmas in a couple days, I wish you guys a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And Christ is born. Glorify him.